I had to accept that if this isn't something I've chosen, but it's something that God has allowed, then God has allowed it for a good reason. And I think that we both have grown from it tremendously. I think that now I think that at the time I was so mad at Devon, but now I think what he did was very...
Nobody expected this twist at all. After walking away from a 9-year marriage with no kids and plenty of emotional scars, Devon Franklin made it very clear he was done moving fast, done forcing timelines, and done trying to make things work just for appearances. He talked openly about taking his time, healing properly, and never rushing love again. But that promise didn't last long at all, because fast forward, and Devon Franklin is already remarried. Not only that, but whispers are flying that his new wife, Maria Castello, could be expecting any moment now. The same man who said he needed space and reflection is suddenly building a brand new life, and people online are doing double takes? And while Devon looks like he's charging full speed ahead, sources say this whole situation has hit Meagan Good in a deep way. From the outside, she's smiling and pushing forward, but behind the scenes, it's not sitting right. Especially when you compare how quickly Devon moved on versus the shaky situation she's been dealing with alongside Jonathan Majors. Let's not forget, Meagan and Devon weren't just a celebrity couple, they were a whole movement. 9 full years of marriage, countless interviews, and even a book, The Wait, where they preached patience, faith, and holding off until marriage. They told the world to let God handle the timing and trust the process, only for the marriage to quietly fall apart anyway. When the divorce news finally dropped, Meagan was the first to speak out. Her statement was calm, reflective, and focused on growth and peace. Devon followed shortly after, but his response hit very different.
The other side of a marriage that did not work the way you thought, it changes everything. It's painful. You know, I just bought a piece of property, first piece of property, in the contract. Devon Franklin, an unmarried man. I might have well broken down because I never saw this moment. When we said I do, there was never a moment when we were thinking I don't. So to live in the I don't,
that's pain.
You don't know what it's like until you.
He posted a message about feeling shattered, paired with a selfie where he was visibly emotional, saying his entire belief system had been flipped upside down. That image changed the narrative instantly. The internet ran with the idea that Devon was the one left behind, blindsided, and heartbroken. People assumed Meagan pulled the plug and walked away, leaving him trying to pick up the pieces. Devon spoke openly about not knowing how to exist as a single man and struggling with the idea that the future he imagined no longer existed. And once that message hit social media, the backlash toward Meagan came fast and heavy. Long before the split, there had already been quiet tension surrounding Meagan within Devon's church circles. Some people felt she didn't fit the image of a pastor's wife or the traditional mold they expected. She was labeled as too Hollywood, too focused on her career and not interested in shrinking herself down. Criticism followed her everywhere, from the roles she accepted to the clothes she wore. Meanwhile, Devon was often seen stepping in to defend her, standing firm that she was his partner and his choice. But after the marriage officially ended, the grace disappeared. The same people who once smiled in public were suddenly pointing fingers, acting like they knew all along that it wouldn't last. Meagan eventually moved on with Jonathan Majors, and that relationship came with its own heavy storm. Despite everything surrounding him, Meagan showed up, stood beside him, and stayed present during court appearances. That alone had people questioning her judgment and wondering if she was repeating old patterns. Devon, meanwhile, went in a completely different direction. Instead of retreating into faith and solitude, he stepped back into the spotlight with Maria Castello, a fitness trainer who looked nothing like what people expected him to choose next. He openly praised her, called her a blessing, and described her as a gift placed in his life at the perfect time.
I was at the grocery store, and I looked at a newsstand, and I saw you, and you had your breast shown. Okay, so we're gonna cover up, right? We're gonna cover
Wait a minute. No. No, that is not what we're here for.
That move shocked a lot of people, especially considering how his last marriage ended. The streets started buzzing again. People couldn't help but notice how quickly he rebuilt, how confidently he moved, and how different this new chapter looked compared to everything he preached before. And now, with baby rumors swirling and timelines overlapping, people are side-eyeing the entire situation. Because when someone says they're done rushing, then turns around and sprints into a brand new life, questions are bound to follow. This story isn't just about moving on, it's about expectations, pressure, faith, image, and how differently people handle endings when the cameras are watching. Here's where the story takes a sharp left, because the way Devon Franklin met Maria Castello is wild in the pettiest way possible. This wasn't some random DM situation, and it definitely wasn't a church introduction either. Nope. This connection came straight out of left field, and once people caught on, jaws hit the floor. Maria didn't chase Devon online, didn't accidentally bump into him at an event, and didn't show up praying in the same pew. She was introduced to him by Mike Trell, who just so happens to be Meagan Good's former personal trainer. Yes, the same man who once coached Meagan through workouts ended up playing matchmaker for her ex-husband. That revelation alone had people clutching their phones. Because let's be honest, that setup feels personal. Someone greenlit that introduction knowing exactly how messy it looked, and folks online were quick to call it strange, awkward, and low-key disrespectful. The plot twist writes itself, and it didn't sit right with a lot of people watching from the outside. Now let's slow this down and really look at the timeline, because this is where things start feeling off. The divorce between Devon and Meagan was finalized in June 2022. Around that same time, Meagan was out doing press for her movie Divorce in the Black, and she was being very open about her emotions. She admitted she was struggling spiritually, feeling angry with God, and needing time to process what had just happened. And then she dropped a bombshell. She revealed that she wasn't the one who filed for the divorce.
She's not going to cover up. She's going to wear what she want to wear. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
When Devon and I got married, I no longer was receiving criticism from just people in the world. I was receiving criticism from people who were Christian. Brutal attacks I was getting on my character, on my husband, on different things. So I wasn't ready for that.
That alone flipped the entire narrative. Up until then, most people believed Devon had been left heartbroken and blindsided. But according to Meagan, one moment everything felt solid, and the next, the marriage was suddenly over. She found out he had already filed, and she wasn't prepared for it at all. Meanwhile, Devon was telling a very different story publicly. He appeared on podcasts saying he wasn't actively searching for love, wasn't forcing anything, and was just letting life unfold naturally. But somehow, while not looking, he claimed love found him anyway. He even said that from early on, he felt certain Maria would be his wife. That statement alone raised eyebrows, especially given how fresh everything still was. Because certainty like that doesn't usually come overnight. Fast forward to December 2024, and Devon went all out, down on one knee in Hawaii, proposing with ocean views and picture-perfect vibes. Then on August 2nd, 2025, they made it official with a lavish wedding at Casa Lago in Beverly Hills. The ceremony was stacked with big names, a gospel choir filling the space, and TD Jakes in attendance. The guest list was heavy, the energy was grand, and the visuals looked straight out of a movie. People couldn't help but notice how polished everything looked, almost like a scene pulled from a Tyler Perry production. The photos were flawless, the smiles were wide, and Devon looked fully locked into this new chapter. Now, to be clear, Devon and Maria were fully married and free to live their lives how they choose. Nobody's arguing that. But what caught people off guard was how fast the conversation shifted to kids and starting a family. Almost immediately, both of them were openly talking about wanting children. Devon looked excited, eager, and ready to be a father, and Maria seemed just as enthusiastic about building a future together. That sudden energy had the internet side-eyeing hard, because just a short time ago, Devon was saying his whole world had collapsed, that he didn't know how to be single, and that his belief system had been shaken. And now, he's glowing, planning babies, and stepping confidently into fatherhood talk like there was never a pause at all. Another detail people couldn't ignore was the visual comparison. More than a few observers pointed out that Maria bears a strong resemblance to Meagan, enough to spark nonstop chatter. Some even joke that she looks like she could be Meagan's younger sister. That comparison only fueled more discussion, more speculation, and more uncomfortable questions. Because when timelines overlap, introductions feel too close to home, and replacements look familiar, people are going to talk.
Franklin was way too good for you.
Oh, no, Devon left me.
He left you.
Yeah.
After all you went through to be with him, because you went through.
This isn't just about romance. It's about perception, timing, and how fast a public narrative can flip. One chapter closed quietly and another opened with fireworks. And with everything lined up the way it is, folks are watching closely to see what comes next. Because this story is far from finished. People online noticed it almost immediately. Same long braids, same glowing smile, same fit physique, same camera-ready presence. The comparisons started flying before anyone could even slow them down. From the outside looking in, Maria Castello checked a lot of the same boxes, and the internet wasted no time dubbing her Meagan 2.0. That label stuck fast, and once people realized Maria is significantly younger, the conversation shifted even harder. Suddenly, folks were asking how Devon Franklin went from saying he needed time, healing, and space to being ready to start a family the moment someone new entered the picture. Now everything is being framed as divine timing, and Devon is speaking like this chapter was always meant to happen. But from where many are standing, it feels less spiritual and more strategic, because the energy he's giving now is very different from the hesitation he showed during his marriage. It was reportedly after hearing that Devon and Maria were already talking seriously about kids that Meagan Good began reevaluating her entire past with him. From her perspective, it started to feel like years of her life were spent waiting on someone who never truly saw her as enough. And that realization cuts deep, because suddenly the patience, the sacrifices, and the compromises didn't feel mutual anymore. It started to look like he may have been stalling with her, only to move forward fast once he decided she no longer fit the future he imagined. What makes this hit even harder is one key fact that keeps getting overlooked. Devon Franklin was the one who officially filed for divorce, not Meagan. That detail changes the entire story. For the longest time, the public believed Meagan walked away and broke a faithful man's heart. She took the heat, the judgment, and the side eyes while Devon publicly played the role of the wounded husband. Meanwhile, the truth was much more layered. Behind the scenes, the marriage ended because it no longer aligned with his goals. And once that reality started circulating, a lot of people felt like Meagan had been unfairly dragged for something she didn't even initiate. Now fast forward to today, and Meagan is navigating a relationship with Jonathan Majors, which has come with nonstop scrutiny. His situation has been surrounded by legal trouble and public controversy, and fans have been vocal about their doubts. Some believe Meagan is genuinely standing by someone she cares about. Others are convinced the relationship is more about image control than romance. Either way, the pressure on her has been relentless. From the outside, it looks like she traded one complicated situation for another, and people can't help but question why she keeps showing up for men during their lowest points while her own emotional needs seem to come second. What shifted public opinion recently, though, is how many people are now seeing things from Meagan's side. As more details surface, the narrative that she walked away from a good man is losing steam fast. There's also growing conversation around Devon's image as a faith-driven leader. People are pointing out that while he speaks one way, his actions don't always move the same. The gap between words and behavior has become harder to ignore. For a long time, many assumed Meagan left him because that's how the story was presented. She stayed quiet, didn't defend herself loudly, and let the public assume what they wanted. Meanwhile, Devon's emotional post painted a very different picture. Now that the truth is clearer, a lot of folks are rethinking everything they believed at the beginning. Because silence doesn't always mean guilt. Sometimes it just means someone is choosing peace over performance. What once looked like a simple breakup now feels like a slow unraveling of expectations, faith, timing, and public perception. And the more people learn, the more sympathy shifts toward Meagan. This situation isn't just about love ending. It's about how stories get shaped, who controls the narrative, and how quickly one person can be blamed while another quietly moves on. And at this point, the internet isn't done analyzing, because when actions don't match the message, people are going to talk loudly. For the longest time, a lot of people, myself included, assumed the ending played out one way. It really looked like Meagan Good was the one who walked away, while Devon Franklin was left picking up the pieces. That was the story everyone ran with. But once more details came out, the situation started looking a lot more complicated. Devon had openly said in the past that he didn't see himself with an actress and preferred someone outside that world, yet Meagan somehow became the exception. Fast forward to now, and suddenly acting, Hollywood circles, and red carpets don't seem to be an issue anymore. That alone raised eyebrows. Because when someone says one thing for years, then moves completely different later, people are going to question it. It makes you wonder how much of the disconnect was always there under the surface. From the outside, it was clear there was real physical attraction between them. Nobody's denying that. But chemistry alone doesn't keep a marriage standing. Their day-to-day lives, long-term goals, and personal rhythms just didn't line up the way they needed to. One person was moving by faith and structure, while the other was navigating creativity, career freedom, and self-expression. Over time, those differences don't fade. They get louder. Now that the full picture is coming together, more people are realizing this wasn't about someone being left behind. It was about two people realizing they were no longer on the same path. And once that truth sets in, the blame game doesn't hit the same anymore. So now the question is simple. How do you see it? Do you think this split was inevitable from the start? Or do you believe things could have gone differently if expectations had shifted sooner? And drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. And if you want to stay tapped in for more real celebrity situations, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. There's another video popping up on your screen right now with even more celebrity drama. Go ahead and click that, and I'll catch you in the next one.